All right, welcome back into another episode of To The Show Baseball Podcast, presented by Beyond the Monster. I am your host, Andrew Parker, and today's episode, we're diving into the San Diego Padres organization. I got Eric Yost on, and Eric is coming off a Player of the Week award for Fort Wayne last week for his outing that he had, one of his best of the season. So we do kind of talk about that. We talk about his season. Obviously, he is having one of the best seasons in his young career since he turned pro 2 years ago. So we do dive into that, kind of like what kind of things he was doing over the offseason, things that he's added, pitch mix wise. And we do dive into all that, as well as shouting out the good old Northeastern University where he attended and he played for 3 years. So we do kind of talk about that and more on this. But before I get into the interview, whether you're watching me on YouTube right now, listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever it is you get your podcast, please like, subscribe, making a huge push right now on YouTube. And it would mean the world to see some subscribers there. It is completely free, by the way. But yeah, without further ado, let me shoot you on to the interview with Eric Yost. All right, I am joined by Eric Yost of the Padres organization. Now, Eric is coming off a Player of the Week award this past week for his performance, and that's exactly where we are going to start. Eric, you are coming off probably one of your better weeks and better outings of the season, and that's what I wanted to start with. How were you feeling, and I guess what was working for you last week?
Yeah, obviously, I felt pretty good last week. Going into it, I kind of felt like another game, but it was hot out there. I prepared the same way I always do. Me and my catcher had a plan, and I think my curveball was working. They had a lot of lefties in the lineup, and my curveball is my best pitch to lefties. So I was just trying to get to 2 strikes as fast as I could and then put them away with either curveball, fastball, changeup, whatever the scouting report told me to do. So, yeah.
And something I did notice about, you just in this past, I would say 2 month stretch, you're going deep into games. You haven't gone less than 5 innings since April 27th. So it's been a while. You've been going deep into games. That's something I value, is obviously starters that work later into games. Is that something that you've kind of prided yourself on, and you've kind of, I guess, you've liked what you saw with yourself this year on, getting deeper into games?
Yeah, as a starter, that's always one of the goals of the game, try to get deep into the games and give the team a chance to win. But, yeah, I do pride myself in that. I mean, I'm a strike thrower. I'm not a guy who's throwing upper 90s out there, so I try to go deep in the games, get hitters out as fast as I can, and, yeah, it's kind of part of my game.
And so obviously you're pitching in high this year. You got a taste of it last year as well. What have you kind of noticed about, I guess, yourself as you're coming back into the level at high A, and what kind of things have you learned about yourself so far at the level, and I guess what have been some challenges you've seen so far?
Yeah, I mean, one thing I definitely learned about myself is that my fastball is better than I think it is. It's not crazy hard, but if I can throw in the right spot, it plays to anyone. So trusting my fastball has been big this year. And then also just believing in my off-speed pitches that I can land it in the zone. I don't have to throw fastballs when I'm behind in the count, like 2-0, 2-1. I don't have to throw a heater. I could throw a changeup or flip in a curveball, and it'll play better than a fastball would in those counts. So those are 2 big things this year that I've learned.
All right, you got to give me a second here. I am going to hype you up for a second, so just bear with me.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you like looking at your numbers, or if you're constantly some guys are just I don't want to look at it, don't want to see it. Some guys are yeah, I like to see how I'm doing. So just looking at your back of the baseball card numbers here, you're on pace right now to have one of the best ERAs of your entire professional career. You're on pace for the highest K per 9 in your professional career, the lowest WHIP. You're on pace for the most strikeouts you've ever had in a season in your professional career. Is that something, well, first of all, I want to ask, is that something that you are that you look at, that you kind of know, or is that something that I don't really want to look at stats?
No, I look at it. I mean, okay. Yeah. I do know, I've only, what's my 3rd year in pro ball, so I've never thrown this well. So I kind of do just know it's the best season of my career so far. But I going deeper into it like you did. I didn't know those numbers. but just like the basic, like this is the best year of my career so far. That I did know.
Yeah, and I know, like, obviously, like, ERA, things like that. That's not the end all be all. I know there's a
Yeah.
lot of behind the scenes things, like, that even fans don't get to see on that. But, obviously, just looking at those numbers and seeing that, it's like you're pretty much on pace for the best you've ever had. So, what's working for you this year? Like, what is different about this year compared to, let's just say, last year?
Yeah. I think two things are big. I'm throwing I have a new slider that I didn't really throw last year, and that's played really well to righties who I had trouble getting out last year. And then also I changed my changeup, so it's slower this year and moves more, and just gives myself two more pitches that I can use in any count instead of just throwing fastball, curveball, which I mostly was last year, just those two.
Is that obviously I did want to ask you as well, and this kind of kind of couples in with my next question here. I did want to ask you a little bit about your off season and kind of like what some things you were working on. Obviously, you had just mentioned some new pitches and stuff to your pitch mix that you've kind of changed up. Was that the main focus for you this off season, or were you working on velocity? Like, I guess what was the main focus?
Yeah, I think that was a main focus for me. Another one was getting stronger in the weight room just so I could get a little velocity. But I think the pitches were my main focus because I know that would make me a better pitcher for sure. So
yeah, and obviously, you adding a new pitch mix and everything. How long does that take for, I guess, yourself to get comfortable with, say you are adding a slider, you're adding, any pitch. How long does that take you to get fully confident throwing it in games?
I think that's different for everyone. I think for me, I kind of have a good feel of the baseball, can feel what it was doing out of my hand. So it really wasn't too big of a challenge for me. Like I messed around with a bunch of grips, like looked at TrackMan, see what the ball does when I throw it. But once you find that grip, it's kind of just grip it and rip it. And the more you throw it in games, the more you trust it. So that's kind of how it went for me. I don't think it was too big of a process. The changeup was definitely harder. So that took a while. I'm still not fully there yet, but I'm getting there. It'll be one of my better pitches soon. I know that.
So we're in late June right now. Obviously, July marks the MLB draft, and you are coming up on 2 years since you were drafted and began your professional baseball career. Is it been what you expected it to be? Has it been, I guess, pro ball? Has it just, affiliate ball is a lot different than college baseball.
Yes.
So I guess now that you're 2 years in, has it kind of been what you expected, or has it been like a pretty crazy adventure for you?
It's definitely been an adventure, that's for sure. I mean, it was 2 weeks after I got drafted, I got sent to here in Fort Wayne, where I am now in high A, then 3 days later back to low A. So that was a crazy start to my career. But honestly, going into it, like before pro ball, I really didn't know what to expect. I was kind of, oh, cool, I'm in pro ball. Like, I need to figure out how all this works. But now that I'm settled in, it's definitely a little easier to handle. Not as much going on in my head. So having those like 2 years, now I'm definitely settled in and figuring it all out.
I'd like to probably say that you're an East Coast guy. Obviously, you grew up in New York, went to Northeastern, played on the Cape during the summers. So I consider you an East Coast guy. And so
Sure.
you got drafted by the Padres, who obviously are, their spring trainings out in Arizona, low A's in California. I know you're in Fort Wayne now, but obviously once you progress through the levels, you go back out west. Was that something that you needed to adjust to, just like the way of life, just being in Arizona for spring training and California for low A?
I think the heat was a big change. Like going to Arizona and then going to California, that was my first time ever going to the West Coast. I'd never been out there. So especially in Arizona, when I first got drafted, like it was July and August, it was the hottest I've ever played baseball in. Yeah, that was definitely an adjustment. And then last year in low A in California, that was the hottest baseball I've ever played too. So that was the biggest adjustment. But the travel and all that, I don't really think about that. That's just kind of it is what it is.
Yeah, I always think that that's like such an underrated aspect or not talked about as much for, guys that maybe say grew up in California and they're playing for an East Coast team or vice versa. And it's just like, your family and friends are all like 3 time zones away from you. It's like, it's very weird. I know you're not right now, but just in Arizona and California, it's always I just feel like it's very underrated. It's like, hey, my parents got to stay up until like 10 to watch me like start at like 6 o'clock on the West Coast. So definitely interesting. Did you have like any so you grew up in New York, and one of my favorite places in the country is upstate New York. I think it's absolutely beautiful. But did you have like any sort of, I don't want to say culture shock because it's like, I feel like it's not too crazy of a difference, but was there anything that you really missed from home, like when you're out on the road?
Like my friends and family, that obviously sucks. Like it's nice now because you have phones, I can FaceTime them and all that. But my parents come and visit, I don't know, once a month, twice a month. So that's nice of them. But yeah, like I said earlier, this is just kind of the life I live now, playing professional baseball. I don't really try to miss things too much because I can't do anything about it. So
Yeah,
that's what it is.
it's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
All right, I'm shooting off the field here for a second. I peeked your Instagram, obviously, before we started, and usually I can find things, but I think you're all baseball. I feel like that's you kind of, it looks like you live and breathe it, which is great. But you have an off day every Monday, and in minor league baseball. And I want to know, what are you doing on the Monday off day?
I'm a big golfer, so me and we got 3 buddies. We go golfing every Monday, and then if someone can't make it, we'll find someone else. But I had a lot of guys on the team here in Fort Wayne golf, so it's a fun thing to do on the off day.
Yeah, I was going to say it's very, very, very rare when I have a pitcher on here and they are not golfing on Mondays.
It's a big, everyone does it. It's just fun thing to do.
I've noticed it's a big minority for guys that aren't. And so I guess my thing is, obviously California's got some really good golf courses. How's the golf scene in Fort Wayne?
It's better than you would think. There's some nice courses here. Then they're nice. They give us a discount because we play for the Tin Caps, which I appreciate. But yeah, the courses are nicer than you think. Except summer now, it's getting real hot, getting tough to get through 18.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, I can only imagine what it's like in Arizona, like whenever you're down in spring training. I'm sure you guys are going like all the time. And then obviously, like, if you were in, when in low A, it's like there's probably some great course around there. But hey, Fort Wayne can't be slept on.
Yeah.
All right. So you are coming off. Obviously, we've talked about it. You won Player of the Week this past week. There probably wasn't something that you went into the week saying, I want to win Player of the Week, but it happened. And minor league baseball did, shout you out and everything, which has got to be a cool feeling. We're around the halfway point of minor league baseball. I think we're just past it. What are some things that, the second half, as it starts ramping up and we get into July, what are some things that you have in mind, like, whether it's goals or anything personal, statistical, anything? What are you trying to accomplish in the second half?
I'm trying, like we were talking about earlier, going deep into games. I want to keep doing that, like try to get at least 5 innings every time I go out there, which I know is hard to do, but that's going to be one of my goals. And then another one is to add a little velo. Like, body's still feeling good, even though it's getting late in the year. So I want to try to throw a little harder, like prove to myself that I can do that. So those are 2 things that I really want to do.
And I'm all over the place. You just got to bear with me.
Yeah,
but I did want to do this before kind of signing off on, this interview here. But, you're a proud alum of Northeastern University, which I am very familiar with. Obviously, we talked a little bit off air, but Northeastern has become a bit of a powerhouse in baseball, I would say. The names that are coming out of there year after year now is quite incredible. But for people that maybe aren't in the Northeast, or East Coast probably don't know too much about Northeastern. They should, but they probably don't. So can you kind of like talk to me a little bit about what it was like playing there, and I guess just being part of that program that's now becoming better each year?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I loved my time in Northeastern. I don't have any bad things to say about it. Playing for Coach Glavin was like 3 of the best years of my life. But yeah, going there, you're not going to have the SEC facilities or the like treatment you get at those places, but it's just a great group of guys who are mostly from the Northeast. That's where they like to do their recruiting. But yeah, it's just been all the years I was there was a close group, like trying to win every game. This year, I was watching all year, following them. They had a great season, but yeah, Coach Glavin and the coaches and the players and the whole culture around Northeastern baseball just made it a great place to play.
That reminds me, you got to take part in the spring training game, right? Down at Fenway South.
Yeah, I never pitched in it, but
Okay.
it was still cool to play against the Red Sox when we were in college. Like that was awesome.
Yeah, I'm always curious because I've never like talked to. I don't think I've actually ever talked to a guy on the northeastern side about
Really?
playing in that game. And is that like an interesting experience? You know, obviously you guys are flying down to Fort Myers and playing, you know, like against. I mean, usually sometimes it's not MLB regulars, but still it's the Red Sox. So like, what is that feeling like? I guess just playing at like a spring training site and things like that before you get to professional ball.
Yeah, it was really cool. I mean, I only did it once because my freshman and sophomore years we didn't do it, I think because of COVID. But yeah, it was cool. They had Devers in the lineup when we played them. They had Kike Hernandez in the lineup. They had some big leaguers in there, so that was really cool. I don't know if we've ever beat them, but yeah, just playing against the Red Sox and like some of their big league guys, it's just an awesome experience.
How do they choose who starts that game? Like for your
For
side?
us,
Yeah.
they kind of try to get everyone in there. We still play, like, I think that game's usually on a Friday. We have 3 games that count towards our season right after it, like Saturday, Sunday. So just trying to get all the hitters in there, then throwing pitchers out there who we think will throw strikes and get outs pretty much.
Yeah, I was always curious. I've talked to, I've had quite a few guys in the Red Sox system that have obviously played in that game, but I've never had a guy from the other side. So
That's cool.
it is cool.
Yeah.
All right, one question left for you, and I will let you slide. And it kind of goes hand in hand with some things I asked you about earlier, but I always like kind of ending it on this. You're in high A right now, and you're pitching very well this year. And I know that it is difficult for the players to not play GM and just be like, kind of stay where your feet are and, just kind of be like, I can't control things. Like, I just got to keep doing it. But let's just say for, yourself, holding yourself to a certain standard, whatever it is. But what do you think you need to do this year to be promoted to AA? Like what part of your games do you think you need to improve the most on to get called up?
Yeah, I think throwing harder is one of them. That was one of my goals. And then another one is just showing consistency. Like obviously last week I had a big week, winning pitcher of the week, but if I could put together like 2-3 outings, not that good, but similar to it in a row, it'll really open the people who are making decisions eyes. Like, oh wow, Eric's like proving he's better than high A level. So just doing those things is really what it's all about.
Yeah, kudos to you guys, every player in minor league baseball for trying to not play GM, and I think it would drive most of us crazy if we were in your position. So kudos to you guys for doing it because it's not easy. All right, Eric, I do appreciate all the time. Obviously, wishing you nothing but the best as we head towards the end of 2025, which is very weird to say.
Yeah,
but
it's crazy.
Yeah. So, but thank you so much for hopping on.
Yeah, thank you for having me.